It's March 1974. The Betz family, Jerry, Antoine, and their son Terry, are walking through the woods at their estate on Fort George Island. As they enjoy their spring walk, little do they know that today they'll come across something that'll change their lives forever. As Terry walks ahead, he can feel something pulling him towards an unknown object. Unsure of what to make of this feeling, but curious to pursue whatever's calling to him. "Terry, where are you going?" his mother calls out, but he ignores her and frantically tries to find this unknown thing. He wants it, he needs it, and then he can see something. A shiny silver sphere, the size of a bowling ball, nestling among the grass. As Terry approaches it, he notices it's eerily untouched, with no damage or dirt on it. Terry picks it up. It's heavy, but he holds it tight. "Always finding junk where you go," his father laughs. Terry was always collecting strange metallic objects. He found them fascinating. "It's just a souvenir, that's all." The three of them look at the ball, all intrigued by the perfect shiny sphere. As they walk back home, they excitedly discuss its possible origins, fantasizing the possibilities that maybe it's a cannonball used by conquistadors, or that it could have fallen from a NASA satellite in orbit. They arrive home, and Terry places the mysterious ball on a windowsill in his room, next to many of his other exhibits, and it sits there for now. 2 weeks pass, and Terry has a friend over. They hang out and take turns playing the guitar. Terry strikes a chord, and a vibration occurs that comes from the windowsill. The boys sit silently, spooked by the unknown sound. They look around to find where it came from. "It's probably just a possum," Terry says calmly. But as he raises his pick, he looks towards the sphere suspiciously. As he strikes another chord, he sees the sphere vibrate, and this time, it's also emitting a humming sound. Terry puts down the guitar and approaches the ball, and as he reaches toward it, the sound slowly fades. Startled, he stands in silence before calling out to his dad. Terry explains the strange phenomenon to his father. Antoine looks at it closely, then holds it up to his ear. As he shakes it vigorously, he can feel something inside the ball moving. Shocked, he places it down on a table. Once placed, it begins to roll, moving towards one edge of the table, then circling around, moving corner to corner in a rectangle, endlessly searching for something, possibly an exit, until finally it rolls back to the middle, becoming motionless once more. They all look at the ball, puzzled by the display, and Antoine places the ball on the floor. As soon as it touches the surface, it quickly rolls toward the door. This time, it's clear the sphere wants to make an escape. The thing is too valuable to lose, and Terry quickly chases after it. He grabs it before it leaves the house. He places the ball somewhere safe inside a box, incapable of another escape attempt. Over the following days, Terry took it upon himself to make his own experiments. He found that when within the sunlight, it appeared to be more active. His opinion was that it reacted to solar radiation. When hit with a hammer, it would ring out loudly, as though it felt the strike. Strange things also occurred in the Betz family home. Doors would suddenly slam shut at night, and strange organ music played throughout the house, even though they didn't own an organ. The family sat down to discuss the sphere. They felt it was something truly extraterrestrial, and they required professional advice. The authorities came to review the ball, puzzled by the object, as it moved in an unpredictable way. But they couldn't recognize what it was or provide an explanation for it. All they could confirm was that it didn't come from another planet. The Betz family disagreed and wanted a second opinion. They sent it to Dr. J. Allen Hynek, an astronomer and expert in the extraterrestrial. He spent 6 hours reviewing the sphere. Through his many examinations, the doctor found that the strange sphere emitted radio waves and had its own magnetic field. With this new information, the Betzes were interviewed by a reporter. The mysterious sphere quickly became famous. Its story spread in papers throughout the USA and even made the news internationally. Everyone wanted to know more about this mysterious sphere. A television crew soon visited the Betz house, hoping to experience the extraterrestrial object firsthand. The sphere was placed on the ground. It did its usual trick, and the visitors stood there, speechless at what they were witnessing. The reporters asked to place the family's poodle next to the ball to provide an indication of the sphere's size. As the dog sat next to it, it began to whimper and covered its ears with its paws, something it had never done before around the ball. The Betz family felt they had something truly valuable and insured it through Lloyd's of London, and if they left it at home, they had someone stay to watch it, ensuring no one would steal it or let it escape. But what was the mysterious Betz sphere really? When responding to the press, the spokesman from the authorities revealed the sphere was made from high-grade stainless steel. Although the sphere wasn't something they made themselves, it was still likely created somewhere on Earth. If it came from outer space, they advised it would be made from different elements. Their review showed the shell of the sphere is 1 inch thick and hollow inside. It weighed 22 pounds, the exact weight for that amount of stainless steel. It had no seams on it, the shell was scuffed in parts, and had a small triangular mark 3 millimeters long. They were sure it was just a steel ball. But they wanted to confirm further by using X-rays. They found small beads of residue inside. These beads would have been caught inside the object when it was manufactured. Clarifying why there was a feeling of movement inside the ball, they also solved the mystery of the strange movement. As it's a perfectly balanced sphere, sitting on the slightest uneven surface would cause it to roll. The Betz's house had uneven stone floors, and it had only ever been witnessed to move around there. The authority also wanted to cut it open to prove their assessment. However, the Betzes were adamant that it couldn't be damaged. It was identified further that the sphere was just a ball check valve produced by the Bell & Gossett Company. The ball's size, weight, and metallurgic composition matched perfectly to what they made. Confirming how it managed to make the journey to the Betz's estate 3 years before the discovery of the sphere, an artist, James Durling Jones, had collected a few of these ball check valves. He liked to use them in his sculptures. With no room inside of his bust, he put them on the top of the roof rack. His journey took him past the Betz's estate, and along the way, a few of these balls happened to roll off and were lost, at least until Terry came along one fine spring day. But what about the radio waves and odd magnetic properties confirmed by Dr. Hynek? Well, although Antoine claimed that's what was found, it was never confirmed to be true with the doctor. The 1970s were a heyday for all things out of our planet, and anything related would gain popularity immediately. The authorities only enhanced this by providing monetary rewards for supporting evidence. Finding something extraterrestrial could have been just a ploy by the Betzes for a cash reward. It's a mystery. Nobody knows exactly who created this substance. Was it nature or some scientist in a fancy lab somewhere? It's spreading quickly. The stuff gets into every human, animal, even the tiniest insect. All of humanity's experiencing euphoria, but that feeling won't last forever. This new molecule attaches itself to all living DNA and makes it immortal. That's how it starts. For the past few months, you've been sitting at home in an information vacuum. No internet, no TV, no news. You turned off your phone and canceled all your plans with your friends so that nobody can distract you. Only with this drastic plan will you be able to finish writing your book. You sit in your rented house on the edge of town, writing every day. You have absolutely no idea what's going on in the world. And now, finally, the book is finished. You grab your bike and head off to celebrate with a beautiful ride around town. The streets are full of people. You ride along a narrow street until you reach the town square. There's a pretty big crowd, and you accidentally crash into a young guy. You say you're very sorry, but the guy looks somehow extra happy. He says he's fine. You notice that the crowd of people is shouting positive slogans, and everyone's in a really good mood. You pick up your bike and look down at yourself. You seem fine, but the fall was kind of painful. Better go to the hospital just in case, you think, and leave the square. You've never seen such an empty hospital before. You approach reception and ask for a doctor or a nurse who's ever free. The receptionist looks at you with that face to earn good money. Many people just lose their jobs. Scientists are sounding the alarm. In 50 years, there'll be almost no space left on Earth. But that isn't even the main problem. Insects now live forever too. Locusts, beetles, mosquitoes, spiders, flies, there are trillions of them. Pests eat everything. Fields are empty. Bees, bats, and spiders usually help out by chomping on their share of insects. But now the whole system's gone out of whack. They, and by that I mean every insect in the world, become more aggressive and start to attack small towns and villages. Herbivores are everywhere, because why bother chasing after food? A lion can just wait around. Eventually, something's just gonna land in its lap. Lions, tigers, leopards, wolves, hyenas. They get lazy and fat. Wild animals fill city streets. The hottest new job? The control and capture of wild animals. And it's not exactly an easy job. You try chasing down a hyena in a 3-story parking lot. By the way, all living things can now sort of live without food. But everyone still feels hungry, and if you don't eat, your body will definitely start feeling weak. Some vloggers tried to find out how long they could last without food. Turns out that the body can live forever without nutrients. But after about a month, you'll just fall into a deep dream. It's like your brain puts you into sleep mode. Unemployment is finally getting under control. There are millions of new construction jobs. What's the big new project? Well, people are building cities in the oceans and creating aerial towns, held up by a million helicopter-like thingies. So now, everyone has a place to live. The only problem? Humans are running out of natural resources fast. 50 years later, The Earth is inhabited by more than 50 billion people. Almost every forest is long gone, and freshwater sources are running dry. People stop catching animals, they simply learn to live with them. You can have a monkey, a porcupine, and a monitor lizard in your house, all at the same time. It seems that animals have figured out that there's no point being afraid of humans or each other. Plus, humans and animals are everywhere, so there's not a lot of options. People finally managed to stop insects from spreading everywhere. Chemists and biologists teamed up to create a substance that puts all pests in an eternal sleep. It gets sprayed on every crop now. Scientists also generated artificial food using simple chemical elements. But still, there's not enough food, and even with those ocean cities and floating towns, people are running out of room faster than ever. Humans institute a ban on any new ocean cities. Phytoplankton and seaweed are essential for maintaining oxygen levels, and since there are almost no trees left, oceans have become even more important. The floating towns turn out to be a ridiculously bad idea. They release a huge amount of greenhouse gases, which makes breathing more challenging. Next plan? Space. The International Space Station is no longer the only huge thing in Earth's orbit. The wealthy build orbiting mansions with simulated Earth conditions. These huge, fancy space homes are crazy expensive and eat up even more natural resources. 75 years later, Mars and the Moon have been colonized, but people don't live there. They sleep, kinda. To reduce the burden on the Earth, people decided to live off-planet in turns. 1/3 of the population remains on Earth. The other part goes into cryogenic sleep for 5 years at a time. Cryogenic capsules are sent to Mars and the Moon. As soon as a human wakes up, they return to Earth and switch places with someone else. Every year, the amount of people in cryo chambers gets bigger and bigger. The next idea is to send out a fleet of unmanned spacecraft to try and find a habitable planet or moon somewhere. But to do this, people need to use up even more natural resources: gold, copper, silver, water, wood, oil, minerals, and metals. Humanity starts exploring Mars and the Moon, desperate to find something useful for building better spaceships. Some Earthlings are now celebrating their 150th birthday and have become incredibly smart and wise. They understand that it's time to stop the uncontrolled population growth, at least for a while. In the next 60 years, not a single person is born. Astrophysicists are still looking for planets in space that are suitable for life, and still figuring out how to get there. 1,000 years later, and humans now inhabit a bunch of new Earth-like planets. Our home, Earth, is completely devastated. There are no humans left there. And for some reason, the further we get from Earth, the more people are born with immunity to the immortal molecule. After all this time, people are living normal life cycles again, just not on this planet. Okay, place those goggles over your eyes, strap in, and don't forget to hold on tight. We're gonna see how fast we can really go. Long legs and a tall yet muscular frame, not exactly the norm when compared to the shorter builds of short-distance runners. But the fastest man alive makes it look easy to move that fast. So far, the fastest anyone has run is just over 27 miles per hour, a speed reached briefly by sprinter Usain Bolt at the halfway point of his world record 100-meter dash. And humans can go even faster. The top speed we could reach may come down to how quickly the muscles in our body can move. Our muscles should be able to reach speeds as fast as 40 miles per hour. The reason we can't do it is that we're in the air for too long. Our limbs can only take a certain amount of force when they strike on the ground. That's why on skates, you're able to outpace a runner. Gliding allows for more traction. What would make us a lot faster is simple-ish. Longer legs, really wide hips, or extra legs, like an insect. I'd give running on all fours a try. It would be fun at least. In 2016, speed records weren't just broken on the running track, they were broken on the ski slopes in France. The world record for downhill skiing belongs to an Italian ski instructor and a mountain guide. In 2016, assisted only by gravity, the instructor set a human land speed record of around 158 miles per hour, skiing across the zone near the bottom of a course in just over 2 seconds. Wow, I can barely stand up on skis, let alone move half that fast. The fastest a tiger beetle can sprint is up to 5 miles per hour. Doesn't sound that fast really, but consider this. It's covering 120 of its body lengths in a single second. For comparison, Bolt covers about 6 body lengths per second. To match this beetle, he'd have to run about 480 miles per hour. That's twice as fast as a peregrine falcon. Tiger beetles have extremely sharp eyesight for insects, but while they're running, the world turns into a featureless smudge. This means the beetle has to stop every now and then and see where it's going. So they're pretty fast, but there's a mite, a special mite, whose speed is equivalent to a human running roughly 1,300 miles per hour. At its quickest, this sesame seed-sized mite can move 322 body lengths per second. Wow! Most cats run 0 times their body length for the majority of the day. Yeah. Well, we're not going to be moving that fast anytime soon. We've got a few tricks up our sleeve, thanks to our big brains. We can use technology. Ooh. The fastest we've ever traveled on land over 1 mile is 763 miles per hour. It was done back in 1997 in Nevada in a thrust SSC. That's a big improvement from the first holder of the record. In 1898, a Frenchman hit the actually pretty amazing speed of 39 miles per hour in his electric-powered car. Through the air, we've traveled at Mach 3.3, that's around 2,100 miles per hour. It's all thanks to the fastest jet aircraft in the world, the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. Amazingly, this plane doesn't have a top speed. The only thing limiting its speed is temperature. If it was allowed to fly as fast as it wanted, it would literally melt in midair. On water, the speed record is just over 275 knots, or a little over 317 miles per hour. A jet-powered hydroplane called the Spirit of Australia did it back in 1978. Not bad if you want to get to your favorite fishing spot quickly. In 1896, there weren't that many driving laws. But still, Walter Arnold decided to break one of them and became the first man in history to receive a speeding ticket. The speed limit at the time was 2 miles per hour. You could have walked faster, and most people did. But that was too slow for Arnold, who decided to race through the town at 8 miles per hour. Eventually, he was caught and received a 1 shilling fine. Quite hefty for the time. A man named Felix was taken over 127,000 feet into the edge of space in a balloon that, when fully inflated, was about the size of the Statue of Liberty. Having no choice but to jump out, he eventually reached the fastest freefall speed ever, 843 miles per hour, in a specially designed suit, of course. Landing back on solid ground in just over 9 minutes, he became the first person to break the sound barrier in freefall. The fastest speed a human has ever traveled is around 25,000 miles per hour. The crew of Apollo 10 reached this on May 26, 1969. This was also the highest speed ever reached by a manned vehicle. Are you feeling the hankering for speed yet? Good news! The Earth rotates once roughly every 24 hours. Math. This means that the Earth and you are spinning at around 1,000 miles per hour. That's not including how fast we're all moving through space on this giant rock. We're zipping along at 18 miles per second. That's 67,000 miles per hour through the dark vacuum of space. Our Sun and the Milky Way appear to be moving at an average speed of 448,000 miles per hour through space. While that sounds extremely fast, and it is, it'd still take about 230 million years to travel all the way around the Milky Way. So, you're probably moving a lot faster than you thought you were, but there's a good reason you're not a human puddle right now. Speed obviously isn't the issue. The real issue is acceleration. Changes in speed are expressed in g-forces, which just means the acceleration of an object relative to Earth's gravity. If you're sitting on the sofa, you're experiencing 1g. Now, most of us can withstand up to 4 to 6 g's, like on a roller coaster. Some pilots manage up to about 9 g's for a second or two. But sustained g-forces are a big problem. Some pilots wear special high G suits and are trained to flex their torso muscles to keep blood from whooshing out of their heads and into their legs. They can still operate their aircraft properly at about 9 Gs. The record for temporary Gs is an amazing 82.6 Gs. Riding a rocket-powered sled backward in 1958, Eli Beating Jr. hit the brakes and stopped in 1/10 of a second as part of testing for space travel. Blacking out but only suffering back bruises, it was a remarkable demonstration of the body's resilience to short bursts of deceleration. More than 100 years ago, a super-famous scientist named Einstein came up with an idea called relativity. There was an experiment that tested this out with 2 clocks set to the exact same time. One clock stayed on Earth, while the other flew on a commercial plane. After the airplane returned from its trip around the world, the 2 clocks were compared. The clock on the fast-moving plane was slightly behind the other one. So yes, time travel is a real thing if you're going faster than another object. Now, another place time slows down is when you're in line at the checkout stand at the supermarket. But hey, it's all relative. The safest place to test high-speed travel is space. It's an empty vacuum after all. But imagine speeding through space. Anything the size of a grain of sand would become a high-speed projectile. The real danger, though, would be small hydrogen atoms just floating around. The hydrogen would shatter into particles that would pass into the ship. It wouldn't be pretty. Your spacecraft would also heat up really quickly, too. Sounds dangerous. You go first.
There's a heavy snowstorm. The cold penetrates his bones. His legs are almost knee-deep in snow. Experienced hunter Joe LaBelle makes his way through the forest, covering his face from the headwind. Any other person would have already fallen and screamed in despair, but not Joe LaBelle. He can survive in any circumstances and always knows what to do. Right now, he's heading to one of the villages in the far north of Canada. This small settlement is located on Lake Anjikuni. The inhabitants of this village are Inuit, indigenous people of North America. Joe hasn't eaten or drunk for a long time. He needs a good sleep and a hot meal, which he hopes to get from the hospitable Inuits. Through trees and a white haze, he notices the silhouettes of tents. Smoke is coming from some houses. Joe will probably get there in time for lunch. He reaches the village, and at this moment, the wind calms down. The blizzard has ended. The hunter speeds up and goes toward the village, located along the frozen lake. It's strange, but there are no locals anywhere. Probably everyone is just sitting in their houses, waiting out the blizzard. "Hello!" Joe says loudly, but gets no response. Oh, great! Smoke is coming out of this tent. Joe knocks on the wall, but no one opens it. He knocks a few more times and goes inside. The little tent is empty. All things are in their places. There's a piece of cloth with needles and thread on the table. Firewood is smoldering in the fireplace. It seems that people have just left this place. Joe goes into the next tent and sees the same picture. All things are in their places, but there are no people. Joe walks past the tents and sees a pit where a bonfire once burned. There's a rope above it, with the meat that the Inuit were cooking hanging on it. For some reason, they didn't eat it. Lake Anjikuni is part of a chain of waterways. Here, the Inuits fished and traded various goods. Usually, there are many people here, but now something has forced them to leave their homes. Why did they leave their things behind? And where did they go? There are no tracks around the village. All the sleds are in place. The Inuits have even left their dogs here, and dogs help them to hunt and ride sleighs. No one will leave warm clothes and dogs here when moving away, especially in severe weather. Joe LaBelle knows all this, so he concludes that something terrible has happened here. His body is shaking, not from the cold, but from fear. After going around the entire settlement, he finds not a single soul. Terrified, he leaves the village, heads for the nearest telegraph pole, and sends a message to the police. After a while, more and more people arrive. The police are trying to find traces of missing people and figure out what has happened, but there's nothing. Near the village, they find an empty grave. During the ceremony, the Inuits placed stones around the burial site. The rocks around the open pit lie untouched, which means it wasn't an animal that dug it up, but who or what needed it. About 30 people lived in the village, and they're all gone. Local residents from neighboring villages can't help, since they have no idea what has happened. The only thing that the police have noticed is unusual blue lights. In this area, the northern lights are a common phenomenon. People living here regularly see a glow in the starry sky, but the police have seen something else: pulsing blue lights. Also, other hunters have witnessed something similar. They say that some strange things were flying in the sky. This all happened in 1930. It's been almost 90 years since the disappearance of the village, and people have created a bunch of theories. The most popular of them is an attack of an extraterrestrial civilization. According to this theory, the blue lights in the sky that the locals and the police saw were spaceships. Some believe that one ominous night, these ships flew to the settlement and took away all the people. In addition to these sci-fi versions, there were also more realistic ones. Internet users have found out that Joe LaBelle didn't have a hunting license. Maybe he wasn't a professional and made it all up. But at that time, many hunters didn't have a license, so Joe's words may be true. But if we try to find out where all this information came from, we'll see that the primary sources were books and some newspaper articles from the 30s. But none of them can confirm that the mysterious story of Lake Anjakuni is true. Perhaps this entire story was made up. Now let's leave the snows of Canada and head for the hot plains of India. In this big country, there's one sinister village where people also disappeared without a trace. This happened in the first half of the 19th century. Still, locals avoid this place even now because they believe that invisible evil forces live there. Let's check and find out what happened to the village of Kuldara. It's located in the district of Rajasthan. To get there, you can use a taxi to get to the nearest village or city. The village is located far from other settlements. It looks deserted. There are only ruins. It looks like archaeologists have recently dug this place out of the ground and left it here. But this is not an ancient city. The village was abandoned more than 200 years ago. But up to that point, this place had been thriving. Kuldara was a large village. Local people were mostly farmers. They sold their agricultural products. And then, one night, everything changed. People abandoned their homes and stuff and ran away from there. No one knows why they did it, and no one knows where they went. Nobody has ever seen the inhabitants of Kuldara again. Apart from tourists, almost no one comes here. The locals are sure that the village is cursed and is the center of paranormal activity. If you ask residents of other nearby towns or read the information on the internet, you'll learn a couple of legends about this place. One popular version says that people left this village because of a lack of water. However, this version doesn't explain why the residents did it overnight and left their things behind. According to another version, the villagers ran away to save the daughter of the Kuldara chief. One local ruler fell in love with her and wanted to marry her. He threatened the locals with grave consequences if the girl rejected him. the ruler gave them 1 day to make a decision. The residents disagreed with such a requirement. As a sign of solidarity, they decided to leave the village together with the chief and his daughter. But if this is true, why did no one else see these people? They must have escaped to another settlement. In addition, they needed their things on the way there. The stories of Kuldara and Lake Anjakuni have one thing in common. People left a comfortable and safe place for an unknown reason. A similar story happened in Ireland with a small village on the island of Achill. About 40 simple houses made of stone and straw were located along the valley of Keem Bay. The village was mentioned in documents dated back to the 1830s as a group of small buildings. But today, there's practically nothing left of it, except pieces of walls and small mounds of ground. People from other settlements don't remember this village, but we know about it thanks to the records of travel writers. They describe the incredible beauty of this place and the village in their diaries. Students of the local archaeological school tried to find the answers. They started excavations and discovered that the villagers could have left the village because of hunger or some disease.
Alright, so let's start our journey with one of the most famous and scary vanished villages. It's located in India, the district of Rajasthan. This is Kuldara village. Unlike other abandoned places, this one is difficult to get to because the locals won't want to take you there. People are afraid of this place and try to avoid it. You can't get a taxi and drop off near this spot. The driver will tell you where to go. You won't find any traces of civilization nearby. The village is located in a hot desert area, but when you get close to it, you'll feel an unpleasant chill down your back. You won't find any vegetation because of the heat. There are only ruins of buildings and sand-covered roads. It seems as if you're walking through the excavations of an ancient city. But Kuldara is not so old. It only vanished in 1825. Before this time, the village had been thriving. It was almost a town consisting of many small settlements united into communities. Residents were busy with agriculture there. Plus, they went mining and extracted valuable gypsum rocks and minerals. But suddenly, everything changed overnight. For some unknown reason, people abandoned their homes and ran away. No one knows why, and no one has ever seen the residents again. Locals living in the nearest areas are sure that this place is cursed, so they never come close to it. They think this is the center of power from the other world. Some people feel sick here, others claim to see phantoms, and still others experience irrational fear. But tourists like to go there. The simplest and least scary vision says that people left the village because of the lack of water. Still, this version seems weird. If there had been a lack of water, people would have planned the change of location instead of running away in a hurry. The second version is way more mystical. There's a legend that one cruel ruler collected large taxes from this community. He fell in love with the daughter of the Kuldara chief and threatened that he would collect higher taxes if the girl refused to marry him. He gave her 1 day to make a decision. None of the residents agreed with such a requirement. As a sign of solidarity, they decided to leave the village. Those who don't believe in all these rumors can spend a night in a tent there. Chances are you'll hear someone screaming or feel someone walking and knocking on your tent. Nah, just kidding. Our next village is in the U.S., in the state of Pennsylvania. More precisely, it's not even a village, but a borough called Centralia. This place looks totally lifeless. Burnt trees, dried grass, empty buildings. Almost all the roads here have huge cracks. People sprinkle them with gravel to decrease the amount of thick smoke that's pouring from the ground all the time. This abandoned place has been burning for more than 50 years. No wonder this place reminds of something. The authors of the horror game Silent Hill got inspiration from this town. Centralia was a mining town with shops, cafes, libraries, and happy residents. People worked in the mines to get anthracite coal. They used one of the underground tunnels as a landfill for garbage. And then, in 1962, according to the popular version, they decided to get rid of garbage by burning it. The plan failed. As soon as the garbage caught fire, it spread throughout the mine. Then, all mining work in the town stopped because of the increased level of carbon dioxide. Residents didn't manage to extinguish the fire, and it started to spread underground throughout the whole city. Roads began to heat up. The soil became poisonous. Thick smoke slowly filled the streets. People were evacuated from this place. By 1992, Centralia was completely abandoned. The town looks ominous, and some people believe it's not just because of the fire. They believe not all people managed to evacuate, and their phantoms are still walking through the burning streets, waiting for someone to finally put an end to this eternal fire. Just imagine a prosperous, beautiful village where people do agriculture on fertile land and bake delicious bread. And then, bang! Everything disappears. There were only traces on the ground and a couple of bricks left from beautiful stone houses, mills, and chapels. Huge fertile fields became abandoned, and no one knows why. Well, welcome to the English village of Gainsthorpe in Lincolnshire, or rather what's left of it. From above, you'll see earthen ramparts on the grassy field, the outlines of roads, sunken hollows, and barely distinguishable contours of the walls of houses and barns. If you come here, you may not even notice the traces of the village. It's just an unusual green field. But in the 17th century, life was thriving here. Let's try to solve this mystery. The first mention of this place dates back to 1086. I wasn't around then. Since that time, it was prospering. There were about 19 fertile fields, a chapel, a mill, a bridge, and a manor house where the lords lived. In total, there were about 25 buildings. From the records dating to the 16th century, you can find that quarries appeared in the village. That is, this place not only got wealthy, but also kept pace with progress. Then, by 1616, the village had become completely abandoned. Scientists are still looking for an answer to this question. Some believe that something terrible and mystical happened to the village. One of the main hypotheses explaining what happened is the plague. Another version is that Gainsthorpe still couldn't catch up with progress. In the 17th century, there was a transition from rural to urban life. Industrialization had begun. Many young people left their native villages to search for a better life. Some believe that groups of robbers and thieves settled in the village. They turned Gainsthorpe into their base and eventually plundered it all. The exact reason is still unknown, but the good news is that, theoretically, the village can be returned. Specialists can reconstruct the ruins and recreate agriculture. The hardest part, though, is to find funding. A similar fate befell the small village of Achill Island in Ireland. About 40 simple houses made of clay and straw were located along the valley washed by Keene Bay. And it was just a fantastic place to live. Coast, mountains, crystal clear water, and rich soil. The village was founded in 1838. Now, there are several mounds of ground and small pieces of walls left of it. Locals living in neighboring settlements don't remember this village. Or maybe they know something, but don't want to say anything to anybody. Only travel writers described it in their diaries as a place of serene beauty. Now, many towns nearby still exist, but why did this one disappear? An inexplicable phenomenon that sweeps entire villages off the face of the earth? An unknown, mystical, scary force? If there is nothing fantastic about this village's disappearance, then why don't people build any new houses here? Perhaps they're afraid of something. So, the local archaeological school students decided to find the answer to this question. They started excavating the village in search of clues. They found out that some kind of trouble happened to this place in the middle of the 19th century, but it's not known exactly what. At that time, a terrible period of famine came. Perhaps people simply left their homeland to find food elsewhere. Anyway, work on excavation continues, and the students intend to uncover the truth. In the 20th century, more and more villages became abandoned all over the world. The main reason is the relocation of residents. Young people don't want to live away from the modern world, but older adults can't leave their native place, So they stay there as the last residents, and then, several years later, when they have bought the farm, so to speak, villages get abandoned. Another problem is access to medicine. In some places, people have to drive tens and hundreds of miles to the nearest doctor. But many villages are still thriving. Some towns receive more funding and have developed agricultural businesses. Besides, not everyone likes city life. Often city administrations specifically distribute free land to people in rural areas so that they can build houses there.